Welcome to my first longer painting video. I'm just going to show you guys a little bit more of the process behind this one and talk a little bit more about myself. So, if we haven't met before, my name is Jace. I'm a full-time artist and I actually specialize in this style. It's called micrography. It just means that all my drawings are usually made with words, names, and phrases. You could probably tell that this is a painting and not a drawing made out of words. I just wanted to make clear that I'm not doing one of my word pieces for this. I'm trying something new. And so I guess I'll go back a little bit to the beginning. So when I was younger, I was a lot more interested in music and I thought that's what I wanted to do with my life. It was the thing that came to me most naturally is kind of how I describe it. And I always was interested in drawing, but it was never like a serious. Like I took a couple of the art classes in high school, but it just was for fun. So if we fast forward through life, I had kept sketching, I kept doing music stuff, and I was at my first year of college. I went to North Dakota State University. Yes, I'm from Fargo, North Dakota. I like telling people I'm their Tolkien, North Dakota friend. It's pretty silly, but so I did college there, and my first semester I actually took a couple of music major classes, and after that first semester, I kind of had the idea that if I majored in something music related, it was just going to take all of the fun out of it. So I said, you know what, let me do something a little bit different. And my second semester, I took a more varied types of classes. And one of my New Year's resolutions was that I wanted to get better at drawing. And specifically, I wanted to be able to draw a well-proportioned human face. I just wanted it to look like it resembled who I was trying to draw and that it didn't look ridiculous. So I took the class and it was really clear that I was the only non-art major in it. It was literally, I was surrounded by these art gods is what they felt like to me because they were just so talented and they knew that art was what they wanted to do. So it was really cool for me because I treated it like a sponge environment. And so I was just soaking up as much knowledge and info as I could. But the class, it was more along the lines of establishing good practicing habits. And it was also really big on making you try different styles. So every week it was like we were doing pencil drawings of still lifes, and then we were doing charcoal portraits, and then we were doing pen and ink like contour line drawings. So it just kind of forced you to keep trying different stuff, which I thought was really cool because they made the point that even if you're doing something that's is not or will not be your main style, it'll help you grow as an artist because you'll understand something new from it. So I relate that a lot to now I study different photographers for their composition and contrast, and I study like landscape people for the details that they choose to put in and the details that they choose to omit. I think that's really important. Or I studied tattoo artists for just like their contrast and boldness that they put into their work. So I think it's really important to try different stuff, always be inspired. So we fast forward, I finished the class. I grew a ton during it. Like my stuff at the beginning was just atrociously bad. And by the end, it was actually somewhat decent, which was really fun. And so I dropped out of school because I didn't think I wanted to be an artist. And I didn't think any of the other classes I took were going to stick with me. And so I was like, you know what? Let me take a gap year, live a little, have some fun, and then I'll go back to school with a more solid idea of what I want to do. So at the time, I ended up having a friend who was wanting somebody to fill a spot on a lease in Honolulu. And so I was like, you know what? Let's do it. This sounds like a blast. So this drawing is actually from my time that I lived there. It's the Ho'omalahia Botanical Gardens. But so back to Hawaii. So I had moved there and I lived there for between a year and a half and 2 years. It was like a little under 2 years, but it was a ton of fun. But it's about as expensive as you can imagine. It's not the most expensive rent-wise, but cost of living-wise, it was really, 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 really thick. But so I'm living there, and I had a bit of a miscommunication at work, and suddenly my savings were super, super, super low. So I was like, crap. I was eating cans of corn with chili lime seasoning, and I was splitting up. I would get these Asian chopped salad bags at Costco. They had like 2 salad bags with it, and I would stretch those 2 bags to last 5 or 6 meals. It was an interesting time. And so I was starting to freak out a little bit, and I was like, hey, if anybody wants to pay for my dinner, I'll draw you a turtle or something like that. So at the time, I was doing these kind of like expressive line, scribbly stuff. When I was in the art class, I really liked charcoal, but I really hated cleaning it up. So I switched over to pen and ink. And so I was doing like these scribble line portraits. They're a lot of fun, but I miss getting detail. And so actually going back to the scribbly stuff, I had actually gotten a handful of commissions, and I was able to figure out my work stuff, so I was getting a reasonable amount of hours again. Life was good, and I suddenly had this fun little side income of art, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I really like what I'm making. I'd love to keep pushing and continually growing in this, because at that point, it was about 2 years. No, it was like a year and a half since I had taken the art class. So it's about a year and a half of drawing every day. So I was continually improving, and we got to the point where I moved from Hawaii back home. So I was in Fargo, and it worked out fairly well because I got home, and a few months later is when the pandemic hit in 2020. And so I was chilling at home. Well, I was working at Starbucks at the time, but I had all this free time at home that I couldn't really do much. So I was like, you know what? Let's actually try a little bit more with art. Let's push. Let's see what I can come up with. And I was working, and eventually I started trying more different styles. And I came across this style called micrography that I explained before. It's like everything is made by writing a word, name, or phrase over and over again. So I took those and I started posting them. My coworkers were like, hey, you should post your work on social media more. And I was like, oh, that's actually a good idea. So I started posting, and it was on a different platform than this that I won't name. But I started growing, and it just exploded. It was a ton of fun. I started selling my first prints. In 2020, it was the first year that I made the same amount doing art that I did at my coffee shop job. So I'd effectively doubled my income for the year of doing stuff that I was basically doing anyways. And so that was crazy, crazy, crazy. And then in 2021, I started taking on my first couple of corporate projects. And so that elevated my work another level. And then in 2022, doubled again. 2023, doubled again. And 2024, doubled again, which has just been insane. And this year, I've already made about half of what I made in 2024. It was by the end of March, I had achieved that peak. So it's been a crazy handful of years, but so I have been mostly doing the drawings with words. It's been really, really fun to grow and continually push the boundaries of what I'm doing with it. But lately I've just been having a little bit of brain fog, and I've wanted to try something new. I still think that the word drawings are going to be my bread and butter, but I want to do this little fun side project because I think it's important to push yourself. I think it's important to get good at things that you're bad at. Like these ones, I don't think I'm bad at painting. I think I have a naturally good eye now after being an artist for a handful of years. I know what to look for. My drawings definitely aren't perfect, and I have a lot of room to improve, but I think these are a ton of fun. So my idea for this is I'm going to keep drawing some of my favorite places, and I want to start opening up kind of like commissions. So basically the idea will be I'll have a form, people can fill it out, and I just want to draw people's favorite places. And so I'll eventually, I think, maybe make a book out of all the drawings. I don't know how many I want to do of like these paintings, but I want to keep getting better at these, and it would be fun to make it like a more collaborative thing. So keep your eyes peeled. I'll be posting that soon. Now this painting took me right around 55 minutes. I'm really proud of it. I think it turned out cool. I love the greens in here. So I love how this turned out. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.